Hi guys, welcome to GradeUp. I'm sure all of you, already know that CLAT 2021 was the toughest exam, one of the toughest that we have basically seen. To ace this exam, and that too secure All India rank 31, is a tremendous feat in itself, right? So today we have with us Kanishk, who's basically secured an All India rank 31. Please join us and welcome Kanishk. Kanishk, hi.
Thank you, sir.
So Kanishk, securing All India rank 31, I'm sure you must be feeling really elated and excited. So tell me, how did you celebrate once you got the news?
Well, I'm very, very happy to say that, I didn't write the exam alone. My parents also wrote it along with me. It was a, collective effort. And now I'm just enjoying. These 2 days have been great. And, just lazing around and enjoying and doing all those things which I couldn't do in these 2 years.
Correct. Absolutely. So Kanishk, share with me, your entire journey, right? When did you basically decided that you should pursue law as a career, and what were the trigger points? What were the motivating points? Who inspired you to choose a career in law?
Well, sir, picking up law starts with, say 8th. I didn't pick law as a, career right from 8th, but where my father worked, I interacted with a few people who were quite, elder to me, and, they're just college graduates, and then you interact, and then they, widen your horizon. They tell you that, you see, science and say medicine are not the only things which you see generally. And then they told me that we generally see humanities in a very derisive light. So they tell me that, see, humanities is a subject which has a very wide scope. And then, so the inclination towards humanities started. And then when I came to 11th, it was quite clear I was going to take humanities because I'm a very avid reader. I've tried to, take part in debates. I have a knack for oration as well. So I felt humanities would be the ideal stream to, continue with that so that I don't get, bogged down by one, set syllabus like which happens in, say, science or commerce.
Correct.
And then when you take humanities, law is among the foremost professions that you can any day choose.
Absolutely.
So then law becomes a natural choice. And as far as the journey is concerned, my father is the principal director with the Comptroller and Auditor General. So he has a transferable post. So by virtue of that, I've moved to many cities, and this school happens to be my 7th. So that has also added greatly to the experience.
Amazing. I'd also like to mention here that you secured 99% in your 12th standard as well, right? So securing 99% in your 12th and then basically acing CLAT as well. Your parents must be super proud and super happy.
They are very happy, sir.
So, do share, once the result was out, right, midnight it was announced. I'm sure you were waiting for the entire day. And, at midnight when it was announced, what were your feelings? How did you celebrate?
Yeah, I was shell-shocked. I was just extremely happy. I couldn't react. I just stared at the screen. My mom was elated. She just shed tears of joy. She hugged me, and then we called up our grandparents in the middle of the night. They got scared. They felt something bad had just taken place. And then they were also extremely happy. And then the next day it all spread. And then the school also called us up. And, it's just a very great feeling.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now to study at National Law University, Bangalore, I'm sure, you'll keep, doing the good work that you've been doing so far. So, Kanishk, tell me this, you were preparing for, CLAT for, as you said, this idea was basically there since, good 9th standard odd. So now when you decided in your 11th standard, when you started your preparation, what were the biggest challenges that you actually faced in the entire CLAT journey?
So the first thing being that there is no person on either side of my family who has taken humanities as a stream. And neither of my parents are from a legal background. So it's like a minefield for me. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. So that was one thing. And then you don't see CLAT is an exam which is a competitive exam, and there's always an element of luck which is involved. So you can never put all your eggs in one basket, and despite the effort, something somewhere might go wrong on that day.
Absolutely.
So that was one concern which I had. And then you also had to look for people who would always be around you to support, because you don't have an atmosphere at home which my parents are of course very well educated and resources, and the financial aspect is not an issue. But that atmosphere which is required for law, which something comes from years of being in the legal field, that was lacking. That was, I feel, the only thing which might have caused at least some obstacles. But I think my parents did a phenomenal job. I don't think they left any stone unturned to ensure I get the best facilities.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So now the entire preparation was actually online, right? Yeah. So, this is absolutely a drastic change now. Looking at the previous CLAT takers, they were actually preparing offline majorly, and you are someone who's been preparing majorly. Their preparation has been online. So, how did you figure, how to prepare online for online, exams? How did you basically manage your screen time? How did you tackle all these obstacles?
But managing screen time is really difficult because you attend school classes, then you have these classes, and then you need to attend those mocks and all that stuff. It's just that in the starting period, then there's a bit of confusion about whether the exam is going to be held online or offline. So managing that, I followed a 3:1 policy. So I used to do 3 mocks online and 1 offline. But once they said that it's definitely going to be offline, then I switched completely to this mode. And online is quite beneficial in that you can adapt and manage. So in a normal CLAT, the offline paper, you can't like just simply pause and go. So sometimes in an offline paper, in an online paper, you feel you're tired, you feel you're not doing to the best of your capabilities. You pause, rejuvenate, come back. It gives a positive feeling and you're pacing yourself better. In the pandemic period, we were all sitting at home. Lots of people I knew got a breakdown and they were just disoriented. And it avoids that because you can pace. So someday you might feel, I just want to chill and watch Netflix. You can do that day. And the other day you have phenomenal motivation. You like study 15 hours a day. You can do that online. But offline, I don't think it provides that kind of atmosphere.
Absolutely, well said. So we're talking about CLAT. You already know. There are 5 subjects to it. So how was your preparation in all those 5 subjects? Just give us a brief idea about all these 5 subjects. How did you prepare?
Sir, I've been an avid reader. So neither the reading speed nor the vocabulary part or understanding has been an issue. Section-wise, English, ironically, English and logical reasoning were weak for me because I had a tendency to overanalyze. So I would go into things which were not given in the passage, think too much, and then, just muddle stuff up. Maths, I was quite good because I have a knack for maths and I had taken maths in 11th and 12th as well. And then legal was okay because it's just passage reading. So before there was a fact and a principle and there was a, bit of ambiguity, but here it's not there. It's just English. And for people like me who have I've read a newspaper since class 6. So that greatly helped. And for each section, when the reading is sorted, there are just some mistakes that repeat themselves. And it's just that which you have to sort out.
Absolutely, well said. So, if you're talking about current affairs, it's one of the most tough subjects which basically students encounter, especially now with the changed pattern. So now, if you talk about current affair preparation, how did you pace your current affair preparation? How many hours were you putting on a daily basis on newspaper reading? Which newspaper were you reading? And what were the other sources that you were actually using for your current affair preparation?
Sir, I would actually refer to GK as a donkey. You can beat it up, but it will never, give you the required output. So it's very vast. You can't expect to cover it, in the course of even 5 years for an exam, like civil service aspirants do. So for me, newspaper reading is a staple. So every day we subscribe to 2 newspapers, the Indian Express and Hindu, and I ensured that irrespective of whether I had a pre-board or an exam or a mock or anything, I read the newspaper upside down. So you could ask me anything which was of relevance to CLAT from both the newspapers and I would know it. And editorial reading, you need to prioritize a bit of school as well. So it's not that I read the entire editorial. Like if there are, say 15 editorials in a newspaper, I didn't read all of them. I used to read those by some reputed authors or topics which are relevant and can come for CLAT and some subjects of my interest as well. So that greatly aided for GK.
So on a basis of number of hours dedicated on a daily basis, if you could just bifurcate that for me.
I think it was heavily biased in favor of school because, people put so much pressure and societal pressure. I would have personally preferred to do more for CLAT. But what I did was, there were periods when I used to just give up on CLAT. I used to leave such a huge gap and my mock score used to come back to where I was a month before. So what I used to do is, I constantly tried to ensure that even if I'm attempting just 10 questions a day, I had to do CLAT every day. There was no single day on which I would leave a subject or leave a topic for CLAT. I used to do at least 5 questions so that I don't lose touch. It's very difficult to manage both at the same time. People say ki you can manage it, but it's actually very difficult. And I had a benefit in the sense that I didn't have to go to school. I could sit at home and my school was pretty lenient with me. So I could take leaves and all of that. So I fairly manageable, but still it was biased in favor of school. But still, you have to do CLAT every day. And if you keep doing it every day, you don't lose touch. And if you do it and after doing that everyday practice, if you take up a 1 month continuous intensive CLAT course, I think it was pretty much workable.
All right. So if we talk about, your strengths and weaknesses, which subject did you figure out, was actually your strength, and which subject was your weak subject, and how did you basically tackle your, gray areas?
Strengths, sir, I would rate English and maths very highly on that. Maths, I had a very, bad mental issue with myself. So I was extremely confident about maths. So every first question which I attempted, I would not get because I would overanalyze the question. Weak aspect, logical. Like up to 2 months before CLAT, I was like literally struggling with logical. But then when I redid the mocks which I had already attempted. So you go through the mock mistakes. I realized that there were, certain patterns of mistakes which I were making. So I was missing out on quantifying terms like seldom, often, very. Those things I was ignoring in the rush to complete the paper. And when I spotted that, I was able to, rectify it and clear logical out. And then in the end, it became one of my favorite sections to attempt.
Absolutely. So what I figure is that, mocks actually played a crucial role in your preparation. So tell me, if we basically have to give this advice to, future CLAT takers. So if I basically ask you this, how many mocks have you given, and what will, your advice be, to any law aspirant, how many mocks should one ideally give?
Sir, I personally gave around 50 to 60 mocks. But I feel that the number of mocks does not matter. It depends on how well you analyze the mock. Because if you do the mock and you just go on to the next mock, it's just not going to matter because you're just going to repeat the mistake again and again. So even if you do just doing one mock and analyzing it properly is equal to doing 10 mocks. So I tried to do the analysis properly. So if I did a 2-hour mock, I spent almost 2 hours on analyzing it, and that greatly helped me. So for people who are there are different people who need to attempt different number of mocks. If you have a time management issue, mocks are a must because your subject is strong but time management is an issue. So you need to attempt more mocks. If your subject is weak, there's no point doing a mock, multiple mocks. Of course, everybody needs to do a mock. It's an irreplaceable part of CLAT. But you need to reduce on the number of mocks and instead focus on sectional tests because that's where you're weak at. So it has to, be according to your weakness and your strengths.
Absolutely. If you're learning from the mocks, that's the biggest plus, right? So how many, varied mocks did you give? So if you talk about, were you just giving CLAT mocks or were you giving mocks for other exams as well?
Oh, of course, I did give mocks for all exams because, that greatly adds to your knowledge as well. You get a grasp of certain subjects which you weren't aware, and the GK for CLAT and say different exams like IELTS are quite different. So it just adds to knowledge. It's not that one is they're not watertight compartments that you can completely separate. So I did all the mocks, but there was a predisposition towards CLAT. So if I did 5 CLAT mocks, there would be just 1 IELTS mock and 1 SLAT mock and 1 MHCT mock, but in favor of CLAT.
So you've shared this with me that your mock tests, GradeUp has actually been of some help to you. So do share how has GradeUp actually helped you in your CLAT journey.
Yes, so I came to know about GradeUp online and from my friends. My issue was that certain areas were weak in sectional tests, in maths and all of those places. Little flaws which were there. So I was looking for something which would specifically target those areas, and in addition to strengthening the parts which I was already good with. So GradeUp sectional tests were great because sometimes there's a tendency to have abstract answers like ALET. The answer keys are very weird. They don't give proper answers. So but here the reasoning is very thorough and clear. You can, if you understand it from the person's perspective, you get a very clear picture of what is being said. And one thing which greatly helped me was that every sectional test, every mock gives you a rank. So in each sectional test, each area in comparison to other people where you stand. It's not just that in a mock you come to know your rank, but in say maths or English or legal, you come to know where you stand. So that greatly helped.
All right. So definitely the competitive spirit that you're talking about will definitely help in these entrance exams. So now if I ask you about your last month strategy, that was a very crucial time, last month, and I am sure lots of butterflies in your bellies as well in the last month. So how was the last month? And do share your experience on the last day of the exam, the D day.
So last month is half the time was spent by my mother and cajoling me and telling me ki ho jayega, ho jayega, ho jayega. But see, we had a plan for the last month. What we did was we redid mocks. That was one very important aspect which greatly helped me. So whatever mistakes you've made, section by section, keep going on. You realize it's always a pattern. As I've come to know, it's a pattern. You always make the same kind of mistakes in n number of mocks. That analysis greatly helps you remove those flaws. GK, of course, I revised stuff since they told us, quite late that boards are getting cancelled. So I was not very up to date with GK. So I had to, pull myself back, and I did read the newspaper, but you need a concentrated source and read. So I did some of that. I then had to focus a bit more on GK. So 50% of the day was spent on doing GK. And then, of course, varied sectional tests, practice, so that you don't lose touch of any subject. And then you notice some areas where you're weak, and then you attempt to clear them out. Last day, I think I woke up at 9 because my mom told me you have to sleep. The center was, quite far away. It was a 40-minute drive. I was very scared. We reached there, and then I see people around me. They're all very scared. The atmosphere gets you. Even if you are not scared yourself, the people around you get you. So, and then thankfully we reached very early. Lots of my friends got late. We reached early, and that really calmed my nerves. You go in, sit peacefully, and then our invigilator was a very great, very, very nice person. He was very soft and all of that, and then, that atmosphere was very nice. So I calmed down, and before I started, I, just calmed myself. I just closed my eyes, prayed for a minute, and then I started. I started with English. I looked at the first passage. I felt very comfortable. I think it was one on Sherlock Holmes. So I felt very comfortable. I had already read the book. I knew what the author was saying. And then when you get that first passage right, that first step in that paper right, it's a generally nice feeling, and then it went great. And then once you finish, it's just fun because you've worked and you feel that you've done well. Absolutely. And it was great.
So you've shared this numerous times that the reading that you've actually done before your CLAT preparation has actually helped you a lot. So how important would you rate reading with regards to the current CLAT pattern?
So very high. I'd say more than your conceptual clarity, reading matters, because when you read, you get the conceptual clarity, but it's not vice versa. And in the CLAT exam, which has been predominantly shifted to reading, so everything is basically a RC, but it's just that some areas have different types of questions. For me, I've been reading since very long, since my mother used to read, and then I picked up. I was a very avid reader. I have lots of power in my eyes because I used to read like around 300, 400 books in a year. That adds to, one thing reading does is, one, it clears out stuff for you. You start understanding varied points of view. Some people face an issue that this is not an opinion which I subscribe to, but that opinion is there in the CLAT paper, so you don't understand that. And the second thing is, it adds to your reading speed a lot. Even if you're reading 2-3 editorials a day, it adds to close to 5-6 words per minute every editorial. So reading speed and understanding.
Correct, absolutely. So if I ask you about if a law aspirant reaches out to you, and a CLAT aspirant reaches out to you, and he or she asks you, what should be my ideal strategy? What would you like to share with them?
So the ideal thing would be, you have to attempt mocks, sectional tests. They are irreplaceable. Don't let them go. And even more important than the mocks and sectional tests, analyze them perfectly. Don't lose hope. One point of time, my marks went up to 127. Then the very next mock, it came down to 98. Don't get disappointed. Perseverance always pays. And then, of course, chill. Don't take everything too seriously. It's a competitive exam at the end of the day. Something might go phenomenally in your way. Something might terribly go bad. So have faith in yourself, and you'll all do great.
So, indeed. So, thank you, Kanishk, for your time. I'm sure whatever laurels you've achieved for your schools and the success that you've seen here in the CLAT preparation as well, I am sure you're going to replicate it at NLS Bangalore as well. So, all the very best from my side and all the very best from our students' side. Thank you on behalf of all the students who are watching this.
Thank you so much, sir.
So, guys, this was Kanishk, All India Rank 31 in Common Law Admission Test 2021, one of the toughest exams which we've seen. He has basically aced it. We've learned a lot from his journey. I'm sure you'd like to thank him for all his inputs which he has actually shared with us. So thank you guys for watching this video. Stay tuned for more upcoming videos.